Hi, welcome to Sage Arts. My name is Thorum Blanco. Today we're going to show you a basic building blocks compendium. Over 15 years I've put together a particular type of set of drills. What it allows for the advanced practitioner is to go through all the myriad of ways to block all the basic techniques. We're looking at techniques from kickboxing, what you might find on the street nowadays. The straight punch, the haymaker, the hook, the uppercut, the low outside punch, low straight punch, elbows, and hammer fist. Those 7 basic techniques. I went through and found all the primordial ways to block those. You're going to be looking at 60 to 80 different ways to block a straight punch, 40 to 60 different ways to block a haymaker or a hook, etc. As we go through this, one of the beauties of this system is that as an advanced practitioner, you're going to be able to go from your forms into combatives. You'll be able to understand how that Rosetta Stone will take you through all of that. Also, as a beginner, we understand that there's about 3,000 to 6,000 repetitions to burn it in your neural network pathways, get it into your muscle memory system. This is the most efficient way I have found for that. Your traditional martial arts has the basic kind of motion, right? Even kickboxing has one-way feeds where there's a feeder to that and the other person. This is the fastest way to gain a lot of repetitions. And in fact, inside of 6 hours, you can burn 3,000 repetitions of all these basic blocks. It's phenomenal. So our first exercise is circles. The difference between circles and lines. Lines is a one-way feed, like you have a feeder, and a person who's responding to that would be a line, like in kickboxing. Circles go back and forth and back and forth. It's a drill that I got out of Kajukenbo as well as some Filipino martial arts a long time ago, and I began building and adding to it over the years as we went. This one goes back and forth. You're going to basically be using your hand or your forearm. Then you're going to move up to your tricep, as in a tight cover or elephant tusks. You're going to move up into an uprising forearm, the upper arm, and then the shoulder. We're going to start off with the hand and forearm.
Go slow, real slow, real slow. Slow. I'm teaching this. Make sure they're real. All right, now bring it up. Make them real punches. Move your hips. Keep it at that pace. Now move around. High, low, move around. Keep moving. Don't stop. Go slower. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. You don't have to go super fast.
So that was the first drill in our series of a lot of things to come. Okay, whatever. There's flavors, directions, speed. Okay. So that was our first drill and a lot of drills to come. We can vary a lot of different things about these drills to keep it more dynamic, alive, and real. So you can vary the way your left hand does those blocks. Whether it's a boxer pat, you can push into the person, you can uproot them, you can redirect it, you can change the angulations, you can rotate your wrists, whatever your particular style or flavor that you'd like to put on that. For now, I'd like to show you one way to mutate all of the drills and all of the future drills based on speed. We can go super fast if you want to train response and reflexes. You can go super slow if you want to train strength or sensitivity and rooting. Let me show you.
Punch from my shoulder. Ready?
So as we move through all the different ways to block a straight punch, just to give you guys a quick overview, you're gonna be using your forearm and your hand as the first thing. The next thing you're gonna be using is your tricep. Third thing you're gonna be using is a rising forearm. The next thing you're gonna be using is a rising upper arm, and then you're gonna be using your shoulder. So right now we're gonna work on this tight cover. As my brother says, elephant tusks. So we're gonna use a tight cover. It's gonna be coming like this to block. I can switch sides for you real quick. And using a tight cover. I can either choose to push it down, I can push it cross body, and if you want to go into the counters, I can even go straight in.
Good. Change heights. Start to speed up, move around, make them real. Turn around, turn around. Keep moving, twist. Sideways, there you go. Good. Come around full circle. And wind it down again. Go slow. Add a little strength in. So like we slip, super slow, super slow, super slow strength. Super slow, super slow, super slow strength. Good, okay. That's it.
So as you're seeing, our practitioners actually start off squared off like a beginner would, and then as they get better or more progressed, or you feel comfortable, you feel your partner's ready, go ahead and take it to the next level. You can increase your speed and your footwork and patterning. You can use all kinds of different footwork. The beauty of this is that you're constantly adjusting for every single repetition, always adjusting. You get used to it, comfortable with it, and it adapts better to the street.
Speed up. Speed, real, move around. Nice. Take it down just a step here. Move around, move around. Move around, move around, move, step, move. Move around, move around. Come back full circle, keep going. Come back the other way, full circle. Good, slow down. And finish.
So to show you a little bit more variability in these particular things we're calling circles, we're going to show you how to add in some kicks, some real close quarter kicks or moving into kicks.
Slow. Cook right there. Bring down here. Good. Keep going. Come around full circle. And slow it down. And finish.
So we've worked through the basic hand and the forearm, we've worked through the tricep and the tight cover, we've worked through the uprising forearm and the upper arm. The last technique on the left hand, the basic technique is going to use the shoulder. You're going to realize that you can use every single part of your arm when you go through this. You'll always have something for every position. It's very economical, efficient, and there is a wide range of timing and distance. If I happen to miss with my hand coming across, I can catch with the forearm, I can catch with the upper arm, last minute I can catch with the shoulder. It gives you a wider range of timing and possibility to catch a technique. So that was a basic rolling shoulder technique. You really need to lean a little bit in order to catch the proper angles on that. What if you're in an elevator and you're holding something in your hand? Maybe a child, maybe your groceries, and a quick reaction for that. By the way, this technique is actually really good against the headbutt. So if he comes up and I'm standing here like this and he tries to throw the headbutt, it's a really nice little way to get in there. It's a nice way to stop a headbutt. Thanks. Okay guys, so we're gonna use that same format that we showed you with the left hand with the right hand. We're gonna use the right hand, we're gonna use the right tricep, we're gonna use an uprising forearm, the back side of an uprising forearm, the upper arm, and again the shoulder for the same right hand punch. Good. Bring it back in a tight cover. And elephant tusks. That's it. Keep moving around. That's it. Change the flavor. Come full circle. Nice. And slow it down. And finish. So that was a right hand versus a right hand punch. A lot of people go, well, why would I do that? It's kind of hard to cross center line. But if you think in terms of multi-man or environmental situations, I might have my side to turn. As he comes for the punch, I don't necessarily want to do the kickboxing. I'm going to jot and do my boxer pat or an over pat. Might be a more efficient, immediate technique to be able to use in this situation right now. I'd like to show you a little bit about push hands on a kickboxing, using push hands versus kickboxing techniques. Straight punch. Haymaker. Hammer fist. Straight punch low. Low outside. And straight punch. Go slow. Good. See if you can find another flavor while you're going slow. Good. Try to catch your underarm. All the way to your underarm. There you go. Good. Speed it up a little. Move around, move around. Good. Get it hot, get it alive. Real punches, but controlled. Come back full circle. And wind down slower and slower. So in this basic building blocks compendium, you'll notice there's a particular level of organization. We're going through the left arm, then the right arm, all the basic ways to block a straight punch. Then we're going to combine those two together. That classification or organization carries throughout this. Later on, if you like, because it's modular based, you can rearrange the organization. When you rearrange the organization of the same material and present that, it does something unique to beginners and advanced practitioners. It allows you to see different connections between different techniques and allows you to utilize them in a different way. For instance, say we want to do the tight cover on the haymakers, hooks, uppercuts, and low cuts. That would be your basic kickboxing techniques. You can also come off body for what we call ready hands and use the same techniques versus your kickboxing, or you could do an extended arm, or you could do your counters in there. Good, bring it down. So this is the same organization as we did with the left hand. We started with the hand, the forearm, the tricep, the uprising forearm, the uprising upper arm, and the shoulder. We did the same thing on the right hand. We're using the hand and the forearm, the tricep and the tight cover. We just use the rising forearm, we use the rising upper arm, and we'll use the shoulder. Slow, go nice and easy. Get that angles, good, make them real. Keep going, take your time. Now, ramp up and make sure you guys stay comfortable. So look good. Good, keep it there, cook it nice and easy, cook it good, cook it good. Good, cook it good. And bring it back down. Straighten up. And go slow, work on Foreman technique. So you've seen 5 basic blocks on one hand, 5 basic blocks on the other hand for 10. Now we're going to combine those two together. This time, if I may borrow Cameron, I'm going to keep my right hand the same in a two-hand block, and I'm going to vary my left hand over the next few demonstrations. I'm going to start with my same format with my hand and my forearm. I'm going to come to my tricep. I'm going to come to a rising forearm, rising upper arm, and then a shoulder motion with the 2 hands. Okay. Yeah, and bring it down. So we can also do a lot of counters. Right now we're going over the basic building blocks. We're just showing you how to do the basic blocks. Eventually you really want to do simultaneous counters. So some of the basic simultaneous counters with the left hand on that straight punch is an over pat. You can do a counter off of every single technique. So I can come a counter on this technique, a counter into this technique. I can come a counter here, I can come a counter here. I can also be a counter into this situation. I can come a counter into this situation. I can come counter into this situation. Same thing on the upper side. I can counter and counter and counter. So there's a lot of counters off the left hand. The right hand till, you'll notice there's a lot of great counters here. Just elbow destruction, come over top, counter, and lock up. On that same note, we'll just go real slow. You can throw in, just like we threw in our kicks, if you want, off of this, we can start throwing in some joint locks, some basic joint locks if you like. So go. So with the basic building blocks, again, you can vary it in all kinds of different ways. You can move your footwork, change your hand patterning, change speed, change timing, whatever areas you like to work on. I suggest working on all of them. Try them all, see what works best. Now, we've also gone into counters. We've also done a lot of close quarter kicks. You can also start off in a long kick range and move into this range so you can understand the difference between your kicking range and your punching range. Breathe, up, down. A little more intense. A little more intense. And bring it down.
Real punches, guys. Straight to the jawline. Real punches. To the jaw. Aim. Come on, Cam. Hit his jaw. Trust me. Work on that jaw. Tank and real.
So what we just went through again, with the left arm, all the different variations to block straight punch, all the different variations to block a straight punch with the right hand, then we doubled them over, where we were changing the left hand each time. We just showed you this one, just showed you this, rising forearm, rising upper arm, and shoulder. What you can also do is cross all those, switch hands positions. So I can switch hand positions like this, leave my right hand as the same, and vary my left hand again. So I can go from left hand to forearm, upper arm, tight cover, upper arm, or shoulder. So we'll show that right now. So with all those two-hand blocks, you can figure out the other side. Since we kept the right hand the same and varied the left hand on both the cross and the regular, you can go to the other side. We're condensing this for the purpose of the video. Love you to figure it out. If you don't want to take the time to figure it out, give us a call. We'll come do a seminar for you. This is another variation of two-hand blocking on a straight punch. We like to call it the cross block. I'm basically using a boxer pat and coming center line. Now it's interesting. Off this boxer pat, I can actually use my right hand as a counter in any one of these positions simultaneously. So as he throws the punch, of course you can do a boxer pat parry. You can come low lying. You can come around the outside as all of your counters. Right now I'm going to show the pat versus a cross block. Okay? So there's a couple of other variations I'd like to go through a little bit. That'll finish us up for the straight line, straight punch blocks. Whenever you use an elbow in a tight cover or an uprising elbow, uprising forearm, it can also be used as an elbow destruction there. We don't really show them right now. That's for you guys later. The next one is everything that's going to involve is dropping that punch. So in other words, a punch can be blocked in a full circle, 360 degrees. I can block this punch up, I can block this punch in, I can block this punch out, I can block this punch down, anywhere along those clock lines. One of the reasons why we're showing so much is crossing center line, or at least blocking across body, is if he resists, I can easily push two fingers across center line, but if I go to this side, it's much harder to block from the inside outside because of the structure of the body. That's why we're showing that for now. We've also showed you all the different ways that you can redirect blocks. If he throws a haymaker here, and we're going to throw you a tight cover, we're redirecting it for now. You can bang bones if you like. If he throws a haymaker, you can bang your bones and do stop blocks or traditional stop blocks with every single one of these blocks as well. You can throw that. Last variation, if you did the math and you were able to do both sides, both arms individually, both arms put together in a crosshand pattern, the cross blocks, Pat Perry, as well as if you added in all of your counterattacks simultaneously, you're going to come up with about 80 different ways to do this, 60 to 80 different ways to block a straight punch. The last variation we'd like to show you a little bit is a rising. It can be done with the wrists, it can be done with the forearms, it can be done with a rising punch, forearms and a wrist. Could be done with an elbow uprising, both elbows uprising, lots of variations. We'll leave you to figure them out. So this about winds it down right now for all the variations of blocking, the basic building blocks against a straight punch. We're going to show you one more little variation and you can come up with your creative imagination, come up with new ideas, new ways. Please send us a video. We'd love to view that, incorporate it, and send it back to you if you like. What we're going to do now, working on punches to single leg takedown negations. So the next thing we're going to do is all the different ways to block a basic haymaker type of an attack on the street. We're going to use the same organizational format. We're going to start with the left hand, then we're going to move to the right hand, then we're going to use double hands. Short flipping a few times. Regular forearm. There you go. Down when you're ready. So we just used the hand and forearm. We're going to move next to the tricep or tight cover. We're going to move to the uprising forearm or uprising elbow and the uprising upper arm for the same basic blocks in the shoulder. Again, it's the same basic organization as we've done on the straight punches. For now, on this particular one, when he comes in with that haymaker, I'm in a tight cover. I can actually be facing it and lifting my elbow, or I could be turned slightly from it, catch it both on my forearm and my upper arm and lift it. Stick your tongue out. I'm not, you don't have to apologize to me, I just don't want to pick your tongue out. Cook it. Cook. Keep it controllable, cook it. Do a stop block. Keep going. Do a stop block. Good. Do another stop block on that side. Good. Bring it in. Okay. Next one up. Show the motion. Show the motion. There you go. Lift that elbow up. Lift that hand over there. There you go. Lift it up. That's it. Good. Make more punches. Good. And bring it down. Good. Lift that elbow up high. Lift that elbow up high. Good. Yeah, show that. That's it. All right. Touch him on that head. Okay, that's it. Courtney, same. When you're ready. All right, bring it in. Okay. Show the shoulder too. Do a straight arm too, like Bagua. There you go. Good. Don't forget to show a little shoulder too. Okay. Folks, so I started bouncing over 20 years ago, and on a really good night, after studying the internal martial arts for years and years, I was able to come up with some really, really cool moves and be able to help other people out without hurting people, being able to eject them from bars and stuff like that. On a real bad night, I would overreact. So I realized that to be able to utilize the body on a high level, you have to have a higher state of consciousness. If your state of consciousness drops, if you're afraid, something happens, you're in an odd situation, your heartbeat's going 100 miles an hour, you've got to use more rudimentary techniques. So I started studying all the different ways I could of the combatives and creating the basic building blocks and putting it onto one drill. That first drill that you saw is all I started with, and I started adding to it and adding to it. And you're going to see more and more. And we found out that this really teaches people very, very well along a continuum scale of response. So if you're in a high state of consciousness, you'll realize you'll be able to use more refined techniques. You're in a lower state of consciousness, you go to rudimentary, basic, primordial responses, and it allows you to slide up and down that scale adaptively. Also, I'd like to share with you that most martial arts are naturally a mixed martial arts anyways. You know, something happened, some guy got a new insight into what he was practicing, and he added it to the art, and that progressed over time. Or somebody would come into town with a whole new way and started kicking everybody's butt, and they had to develop a response system to that. So most martial arts are mixed martial arts. The attacks that you saw on a street 500 years ago are very different than the attacks you saw on the street 200 years ago. Very different than the attacks you saw on the street less than 30 years ago. Since the internet, everybody can pick it up and learn all kinds of stuff and all kinds of techniques. What's predominantly on the market right now, what's predominantly in the street right now is still your classic haymaker, but you're starting to see kicks, you're starting to see some elbows, you're starting to see some basic kickboxing techniques. That's why we chose kickboxing, to use all the different basic blocks. So no matter what art you're in from, no matter what art you're studying, this will give you the big picture of combatives of everything in the martial arts. Demonstrate it. There you go. And drop it. And lift it. Tight cutter. Tight cutter. Brush your hair. Camera with the right arm. Good. Good. Flow. Let it come out of you. Use two hands, Cameron. Two hands, Cameron. Two hands, Cameron. There you go. Two hands, Cameron. Good. Drop it. And drop it. Keep going. And drop it. Keep going. Good. And lift it. At will. Just do what feels right. And speed up. Next. Get ready to throw that punch. Throw that punch. What punch? With that one.
Oh, switch.
So, yeah. When I tell you, I'll say left punch. Left punch. In the basic building blocks, there's lots of different ways, again, to adapt it and rearrange it and change it. One of the things you notice is we're doing everything against a right-hand punch. And that's to accommodate that left brain, right brain, that corpus callosum, the difference between going from one side to the other. If you learn on one side and you narrow down your choices and possibilities, it's much easier for a beginner to learn. When faced with too many questions that you have no answer to, a natural response is the flinch response or run. Get it out. So in order to prevent training that flinch response into it, we start off nice and easy and slowly build up, but you also start making one decision at a time. Eventually you start adding 2 decisions when you're trained, 3 and 4, until you get to full free form, fluid, smooth, without any breaks or gaps in your response system. So in the basic building blocks, we're showing you all the blocks versus a haymaker. You can vary that haymaker slowly into a hook if you like, and slowly vary the different punch styles as well as angulation slightly, so you can learn to adapt that way. We showed you everything off of the right hand, showed you everything off of the left hand. Then we kept the left hand the same and varied the right hand of all the different basic right hand responses. It's up to you if you want to figure out keeping the right hand the same and varying the left hand. Now you can also, we kept the left hand the same with the basic forearm or hand, and we varied the right arm. You can also, with the same organizational pattern, come up to using a left hand tight cover and a right hand. A left hand tight cover and a right hand tight cover. A left hand tight cover and a right hand forearm rising. A left hand tight cover and an upper arm. So that's how you work through all the basic combinations. They're all there, but for sake of brevity of the video, we'll leave it at that. We gotta bend it and let it slow. And I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna let that go. Stop. Let that go, and then I'm gonna push that out. Yeah, once I throw that out, here, and I throw this out, headbutt you. Because eventually, essentially, what I'm going to do is see that. Good, now cook it. Whatever comes out, natural. Work around, work around. High, low. Get athletic. Good. Cook it. Whatever, just let it flow. Feel it. There you go, Courtney. Let God take over. Good, and bring it down. So again, with all of these basic building blocks, there's lots of counters. We're not showing the simultaneous counters. As he comes in, I can counter, counter. As he comes in, I can counter, counter. There's lots of variations of that. Let me show you another slight variation that's a fun one. Pull it back and punch. Now. Next. Go slow, go slow, go slow. Work it slow. There you go. Elbows, outside forearm, outside pierce. Good, tight cover. Stop and fold. Good. Low outside punch, low outside punch. That's it. Low block and fold from the inside. Good, keep going. Low block and fold. Low block. There you go. That one. It's pierce. Good. Good. That's the one. Stay there. That's it. Good. Move around. Start cooking a little bit. Go natural. One is the right hand. It's the same three. It's a stop block. Stop forward. It's an elbow. Show it first. Pass it. Pass it. Good. Tight cover. Tight cover absorption. Just keep it tight. That's it. Piercing. Outside pierce. That's it. That's the punch. Good. Tight cover. Good. Other side. Pierce. Pierce from the outside. And tight cover. Oh. And both hands. Show that and pierce. Show that. Show that. Tight cover, tight cover. Good. Okay. Now demonstrate. Low punch. That's it.